The Crewe family lived what seemed to be an idyllic life on their rural farm in Pukekawa, New Zealand. However, in June 1970, their peaceful existence was shattered, plunging the nation into a harrowing mystery that remains unsolved to this day. The Crewe Murders are one of New Zealand's most infamous criminal cases, capturing the public's imagination to this very day. But who is truly responsible for this heinous crime? Join us as we question everything about the Crewe Murders. Harvey, born in 1936, was a dedicated farmer, and Jeannette, born in 1941, was known for her warm personality and community involvement. They married in 1966 and quickly became well-respected members of their community, working side by side on their family farm. Their daughter Rochelle, born in 1968, completed the happy family. But on June 22, 1970, their peaceful existence was shattered. Friends and neighbors noticed something was amiss at the Crewe farm. Harvey and Jeannette Crewe, known for their punctuality and routine, hadn't been seen or heard from in 5 days. Their milk, bread, and newspaper deliveries hadn't been collected since the 18th. Concern grew, leading to a fateful visit to their home. Entering the house, Jeannette's father, Len Demler, found their 18-month-old daughter, Rochelle, in her cot, crying and hungry, having been alone for days. He reportedly then left Rochelle alone to go out on some errands. Police searched for Harvey and Jeannette for weeks, and on August 16th, Jeannette's body was found in the Waikato River, wrapped in a duvet and bound with copper wire. A month later, on September 16th, Harvey's body was discovered downriver, his body weighed down with a car axle to prevent him from floating. The community, once defined by its close-knit and trusting nature, was now gripped by fear and suspicion. The investigation into the murders was spearheaded by Detective Inspector Bruce Hutton. Officers quickly realized that the crime scene had been contaminated by initial responders and concerned neighbors. Despite these setbacks, they began piecing together the details. Harvey was found shot in the living room, and Jeannette had been killed in a different part of the house, suggesting a possible struggle or chase. Rochelle had been left without food for 4 to 5 days, and liquids for about 2 days, meaning that someone came back to give the baby milk or water. One of the first people to fall under suspicion was Len Demler, Jeannette's father. Demler lived on a neighboring farm and was one of the first on the scene. He also had a strained relationship with his daughter and son-in-law that added to the suspicion. However, the investigation took a significant turn when attention shifted to Arthur Allan Thomas, a local farmer. Thomas was known to the Crews and had been seen in the vicinity around the same time as the murders. Additionally, the car axle that had weighed down Harvey's body had been linked to Thomas. And crucially, 2 .22 caliber shell casings matching the type used in the murders were found on his property. This discovery provided the breakthrough the police needed. Thomas was arrested and charged with the murders of Harvey and Jeannette Crewe. The case against him seemed solid, but doubts about the integrity of the evidence and the conduct of the police began to surface. The arrest of Arthur Allan Thomas seemed to bring a sense of relief to the anxious community of Pukekawa, but it also sparked intense scrutiny and debate. First, the 2 .22 caliber shell casings found on his property. The shells were found to have marks that showed they were ejected from Thomas's rifle. During the trial, it was revealed that the police had conducted multiple searches of Thomas's property before finding the shell casings, leading to allegations of evidence tampering. The defense suggested that the casings could have been planted to frame Thomas. Second, the witness testimonies placed him near the scene on the day of the murders. Thomas had a strong alibi, but was seen as the main suspect because of the perceived feelings towards the Crews. The prosecution argued that Thomas was obsessed with Jeannette, a key witness to the fact being Len Demler, who was cross-examined, bringing into question why he didn't mention this information before the trial. The defense argued that the evidence against Thomas was circumstantial and raised concerns about the police investigation's integrity. Despite these controversies, Thomas was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment. The verdict was met with mixed reactions. Some believed justice had been served, while others were convinced of his innocence and pointed to flaws in the investigation and the trial. The conviction of Arthur Allan Thomas was meant to bring closure to the Crewe murders, but as the years passed, it ignited a firestorm of controversy and doubt. Central to the controversy was the allegation of evidence tampering. The shell casings found on Thomas's property, the crucial piece of evidence, may have been planted to secure a conviction, as they were found on a third sweep of the house months later in October. The witness reports could have been wrong also, seeing as how Thomas had a solid alibi from his wife and daughter. Public opinion began to shift, and a growing number of people believed that Thomas had been wrongfully convicted. Advocacy groups and journalists took up his cause, highlighting flaws in the case against him and calling for a re-examination of the evidence. The turning point came in the late 1970s when a Royal Commission of Inquiry was established to review the case. The commission's findings were damning, revealing significant flaws in the police investigation and concluding that crucial evidence had likely been fabricated. The bullet shells that were connected to Thomas were shown through forensic work that they could not have been from the bullets found on the victims and that the evidence had been planted. This landmark report led to Thomas's pardon in 1979 after he had spent nearly a decade in prison. As the spotlight moved away from Arthur Allan Thomas, another figure came under scrutiny, Len Demler, Jeanette's father. Demler's involvement in the case has been a source of speculation and alternative theories, adding further complexity to this already convoluted mystery. Len Demler was one of the first to discover the crime scene, which immediately placed him under police suspicion. Demler had a strained relationship with his daughter and son-in-law, stemming from family and financial disputes. His lack of immediacy reporting his family missing after finding their daughter alone added to the suspicion. Additionally, it was reported that Demler had access to an unregistered .22 caliber weapon. Lastly, blood of the same type as Jeanette's was found on his car seat, and he had scratches on his neck. However, all of this evidence was circumstantial and never led to a trial. It makes you wonder why they didn't plant evidence against him instead of Thomas, seeing as how so much evidence already pointed to him. Several theories have emerged over the years, suggesting Demler's potential involvement. Some theories propose Demler either committed the murders himself or had knowledge of who did. Although the Royal Commission of Inquiry, which exonerated Arthur Allan Thomas, did not find enough evidence to charge Demler, doubts about his role have kept this case shrouded in mystery. The Crewe murders had a profound impact on New Zealand's society and its legal system. The exoneration of Arthur Allan Thomas by the Royal Commission of Inquiry exposed serious flaws in police investigations. When the Commission's findings revealed the evidence had likely been fabricated to secure a conviction, it shook public trust in the police force. This loss of confidence prompted calls for widespread reforms to prevent such injustices in the future. One of the most significant changes was the implementation of stricter guidelines for evidence collection and preservation. The case also led to the establishment of independent oversight bodies to review police conduct. The legacy of the Crewe murders continues to resonate in New Zealand. The case remains a topic of discussion and analysis, with new theories and perspectives emerging every day. Thanks for joining me on this journey through one of New Zealand's most infamous criminal cases. If you want some other videos on some weird stuff, check these out. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and share it. It really helps the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you next time.